For more on this, let's go to NBC News legal analyst Misty Marris. Misty, good to see you. I want to get your take on that body cam video because you see them walk up, you see them approach him, he lowers his mask. They are talking to each other. It's not like, you know, things are very tense at the beginning, and then they ask him his name. What's your legal perspective watching what we see here in the first moments of this interaction?
So this body cam video is really, really critical for the prosecution's case because it shows the original approach to Luigi Maggio, asking him to take down his mask. Now, Gotti, this is important because the defense challenge to some of the statements that Mangione made before he was read his Miranda rights. There's approximately 20 minutes of time before police officers read him his Miranda rights. And the question becomes whether or not there was a reasonable suspicion to approach him and ask investigatory questions like what's your name for an ID versus when he is in custody from the legal perspective, which means a reasonable person wouldn't believe that they could leave at any moment. And that's when Miranda rights need to be read. So that line between investigation and custodial detention is really important to the case.
Now, not to get too in the weeds here, but once he gives them what looks like a fake ID and tells them a fake name, I mean, does that change the probable cause equation here?
So that is where probable cause comes in, Gotti. You must be, attending law school on the side with all the free time you had. Because it becomes a reasonable suspicion to approach him. That's a very low standard under the law, meaning that the police officers have a reason to believe that this person may have been involved in a crime. They can ask questions, limited types of questions that relate to that suspicion, so investigative questions. Then, once there's probable cause, that means that an arrest can be made. And that's really where the Miranda rights and the custodial detention comes in. And once they start asking questions that relate specifically to the guilt of the individual, well, now it's a whole new ballgame. Miranda rights need to be read, and we're talking about a question as to the veracity of that arrest. So this is a really important line that is at issue in this particular suppression hearing.
Interesting. I know Mangione's defense team has been objecting to the release of this footage. Like, how did the judge decide to make this public? And again, like, we're in a evidence suppression hearing, right? We're not even close to trial. There's been all kinds of concerns about pretrial publicity, and we are seeing like a ton of evidence put out in front of the public.
That's the crux of the defense argument as to why this body-worn camera footage should be under seal, should not be released, and that no further footage should be released. So the defense made this argument saying that there was a substantial probability that Mangione's right to a fair trial would be impacted if this body-worn camera were released because it relates directly to the issues that are subject to suppression, the backpack, the statements. And we don't know whether or not they're actually going to make it into a court before a jury. So now the public is finding out about it. You just had the graphic up. Part of the argument is 5 news articles, CNN, ABC, Bloomberg, New York Times, BBC, all talking about the unprecedented media interest and coverage of this suppression hearing, the defense using the intense media interest as part of its argument to keep this video out of the media and out of the public sphere.
That was fascinating. Misty Marris, thanks so much.